Hello students, how are you? My name is Dr. Jyoti Singh and today I am going to discuss with you a very important topic, that is what are the similarities and differences between the human eye and a camera. This video is intended for the BTech first year of a semester students and for the course Biology for Engineers. So let us discuss and start this video regarding the eye and the camera. And first of all, I would like to discuss with you the structure of an eye so that we can relate it with that of the structure and working of a camera. So let us discuss the structure of an eye. Before that, I would like to discuss the points which I am going to cover in this video. So we will discuss what parts of the eye are similar to the camera. Okay? Does the eye work like a camera? Why is the eye not like a camera? Fine. What is the maximum resolution of the human eye? What are the two major comparisons between an eye and a camera? Can the human eye see in 4K? We are nowadays seeing the movies and other videos in 4K resolution. Fine. How many megapixels is the human eye? What is the shutter speed of the human eye? These are the few points which I am going to cover in this video. Okay. So let us discuss the structure of an eye. Fine. Here you can see this is the normal eye which we see in our day-to-day life. This is the structure of an eye. Here you can see our eyelid is here. The acrymal gland here at this point, it is the acrymal gland, and below it there is a tear gland. And in this area, this black region is known as the pupil, and this grayish area, you can call it a blue eye. This light bluish part is known as the iris. Okay, and this is the white portion is known as the sclera. Actually, this sclera and in this cross section view or the schematic view, you can say the sclera extend from all around the eye, and it is very hard and it literally protects the eye from any kind of damage. And this sclera has its front portion and it is known as cornea. Fine. Sclera is a white opaque kind of substance, and it covers the eye from backward, but in front portion it is very transparent and it is known as cornea. Fine. So the foremost portion of our eye is cornea. Fine. So because it is transparent, we are not able to see in this image the position of the cornea, but here you can see the position of the cornea. It is transparent, and inside this cornea we have a fluid filled which is known as aqueous humor. Okay, and in this aqueous humor has two chambers, that is the anterior chamber. The front portion is known as the anterior chamber, and the posterior chamber here you can see it is the posterior chamber. Okay, and the anterior chamber is filled with the fluid known as aqueous humor. It is all because to protect our eyes from any kind of wear and tear. Okay, and here you can see the suspensory ligaments and the ciliary body and the muscles. These suspensory ligaments are connected with the ciliary body and muscles, and this one literally helps our eye to change its focus, because you know we can see the nearby objects as well as the far objects. Fine. So these muscles and these suspensory ligaments help us to change the focus of our eyes so that we are able to see the nearby objects as well as the far objects. And here you can see the vitreous body of the eye. It is filled with the vitreous humor. Fine. And here you can see the retina. Fine. Here is the retina. This portion is known as the retina. Here the image formed when the light enter in our eyes. The entering part of the light is known as the pupil. Through pupil, light enters our eye. Pupil is nothing but it is a hollow part. Here you can see it is just a hollow part and it is surrounded by the iris. Fine. So when there is bright light, this iris literally expands and narrow down the pupil size so that the minimum light enter our eyes. When the light is very dim, this pupil expands and makes the size of the pupil bigger so that more and more light enter in our eyes and we are able to see the objects clearly. Fine. So this is the function of iris and pupil, and here at retina the image formation takes place. This is the blind spot. Here there are no sensory cells. There are relatively two kind of sensory cells, that is rod cells and cone cells. Cone cells, okay, cone cells are responsible for colored vision. Fine. So here we can see the red color, blue color and green color. Fine. So you have read about a disease called color blindness. Many people are not able to distinguish between the red color or blue color. Fine. So they are color blind because they don't have this cones inside their eyes. Fine. And there is another cells called the rod cells. Okay, rod cells are responsible for the night vision, and rod cells are basically present in owls eye because they are able to see in the eye in the night, and they are not able to see in the daylight because they don't have the cones. So these are two kind of sensory cells found in our eyes which are present at the retina. Fine. And this is the junction of the retina and the optic nerve. Optic nerves are those nerves which transmit the information or from the eye to the brain for processing, and through these optic nerves all the signals reach to the brain, and at the junction of the retina and this optic nerve is known as the blind spot due to absence of any kind of sensory cells. These rod and cone cells, they are not present at the this blind spot. We will later on discuss it in detail. Fine. So let us discuss how an eye and a camera similar. So an eye and a camera both have lenses and light sensitive surfaces, because both can help us to see the things. Through light, through eye we see the things, and through camera we see the things. Okay, through eyes we see the things and remember in our brain, but in camera we record the things and store them. Fine. So your iris control how much light enters your eyes. Means there is a portion, that is I have discussed it earlier, there is a portion known as iris. This brown portion you have studied it earlier, that is your lens help focus the light. The second thing is that here you can see this is the lens of our eyes. It is made up of a transparent material. Fine. So this lens help us to focus the to focus on any object, and this ciliary muscles or ciliary ligaments help us to change our focus. Fine. The retina is a light sensitive surface at the back of our eye. So here you can see this is the retina portion which is at the back of your eye, and it captures an image of what you are looking at. Okay. Then the retina send impulses to your brain along the optic nerve. Finally the brain interprets what you are saying. So this is the process of seeing through an eye. We have discussed how an eye captures an image, and now we'll discuss the camera. This is similar to what happens when a camera captures to an image. The both processes are very similar, that is of an eye and an camera. The both processes are very similar to one another. That is, first light hits the surface of the camera lens. Here you can see this is the lens, and the light enters into the camera through the lens. Fine. So in our eyes light enters into the pupil, and iris controls the amount of light entering our eye, while in the camera aperture controls how much light enters into the camera. Fine. Then the light makes its way to the light sensitive surface. Here it is number 2, it is the light sensitive surface. Okay. For a long time this surface was the camera's film. Nowadays we are using the digital camera, not the camera which we are earlier using, that is it has films in them. Okay. So all the pictures we click, all the videos we record got recorded on a film, but nowadays in digital camera we have a light sensitive chip on which the image get formed. Okay. So in today's digital camera this surface is an image sensor chip. Fine. So these two processes are very much similar in many of the things. Here you can see a comparison between the different parts of an eye and a camera. Here you can see in the eye we have retina for the image formation, and in the camera we have this film. Nowadays it is known as image sensitive chip. Okay, and in our eyes we have this iris to control the amount of light entering into our eyes, and in this we have this diaphragm. Fine. So diaphragm actually controls the amount of light entering into the camera, and aperture is the hole. Fine. So similarly in our eyes, pupil is a narrow hole, so it through which light enters into our eyes, and in camera also aperture is a narrow hole through which light enters, and diaphragm controls the amount of light entering into the camera. Fine. In this camera we have lens, in eyes we have also our lens. Fine. And in the camera we have this black paint to protect our images from any kind of damage, and in this our eye we have this choroid or the sclera layer. Okay, now we have discussed the similarity between an eye and a camera. I would like to discuss a very important thing about light and a camera. Do you know what is this? That is, they all receive an inverted image, that is upside down version of the image. Why? From upside down, I mean to say that this kind of image, this is the image of an apple you are seeing here. When light hits this apple and light enters into our eyes and here in the lens, and here in our eyes the light rays got converged, and here at retina the image get formed, and here you can see the inverted image of an apple. Fine. And here also in the camera, when we click the image of an apple, here the image formed by the camera is also inverted. Fine. But we don't really see an inverted image. Okay, we all see the image naturally as they exist. We don't see an inverted image. If an inverted image is forming at retina or in the camera, we could be able to see that, but we don't see an inverted image. How is that possible? Because the lens in both an eye and a camera is convex, because the lenses are convex, that is they are thick at the center or curved towards. Fine. So why this kind of inverted image is formed? Because an eye and a camera both contains a convex lens, and the property of convex lens is that it refracts the light. So the image got flipped or upside down. That is why an inverted image is formed. But we don't really see an inverted image of what we see or what we capture through our eyes. How is that possible? We don't see an inverted image because this is because your brain steps in to help your eyes. Okay, it knows the world is supposed to be right side up, so it flips the image over again. Digital cameras are programmed to make the correction on their own. Okay, non-digital cameras contain a prism or mirror that flips the image so it appears to right side up. Okay, so we have our brain. Through the optic nerves, the image went to the brain at the olfactory lobe, where the image get processed, and then it is transferred to the both hemispheres of our brain. So it is the brain which converts this flipped image into the real image. So here is an image of how an eye and a camera, the image is formed. Here you can see a right kind of image formed at both the positions, but the image formation is not like that. This image depicts how in reality we see the things. Okay, but in reality the image form inverted, but we see the things like this one only. Okay, now we are going to discuss another topic, that is how does an eye focus differently than a camera. The lenses in your eyes change shape to stay focused on a moving object. Here you can see the crystalline lens is connected with the ciliary fibers or ciliary muscles. These ciliary fibers are connected to the ciliary muscles. Fine. So when this ciliary muscles contract and relax, the focal length of this lens got changed. Fine. So here in the figure you can see for distant vision, ciliary muscle get relaxed. Okay, and the focal length of the lens get shortened, so we are able to see the distant objects clearly. While for near vision, this ciliary muscle got contracted, and the focal length of our lens got increased, so we are able to see the nearby objects. So this is the very important property of our eye, because it is able to change its focal length. But in cameras we have to change the lenses. In camera we cannot change the focal length by doing this kind of things. So eyes are far or better or superior, you can say, in this respect with the cameras. The thickness of the lens also changed to accommodate the image being viewed. This is able it is able to do it because the lenses is attached to small muscles that contract and relax. Fine. Now we'll discuss about a camera. A camera lens can't do this. Just I have said it to you. That's why the photographers change lenses depending on how far away they are from an object. Mechanical parts in the camera lens also adjust to stay focused on a moving object. Here you can see a diagram depicting the focal length of a camera. So here, when the focal length is long, you can see the narrow angle view. Okay, so here you can the image form is very small, or you can see a wide range is covered. Now when the focal length is short, so wide angle view, we get a wide angle view. Nowadays you are using mobile phones having triple camera, quadruple camera, fine, and they are doing this kind of things. They have different lenses in these different cameras. What is the need of 4 different cameras in a single mobile? So they have these lenses adjusted into them. One lens shoots at narrow angle view and one lens shoot at wide angle view, so that you can have different kind of views or different kind of photos from a single mobile phone. But with our eyes we can do these things with a single lens, so we are lucky enough. Fine. Now, although the human eye has a focal length of approximately 22 mm, this is misleading because although we have a focal length of 22 mm, but this is misleading because we are able to change the focal length of our eyes regularly as per our choice. So the back of our eye are curved. Literally the shape of the human eye is almost spherical, so it is not possible to take the exact measurement of the focal length of our eyes. Fine. So the back of our eyes are curved. Okay, the periphery of our visual field contains progressively less detail than the center. We are able to see things at the center with more focus as compared with the periphery. The scene we perceive is the combined result of both eyes. Usually we see the things with our both eyes. So the like I have discussed this earlier, that wide angle view, narrow angle view. Okay, you can understand this by seeing this figure, that is the angle of view. Okay, so this is our left eye, this is our right eye, our dual eye overlap. Okay, our central angle of view is around 40 to 60 degree. So we see the things at 130 degree angle, because our combined effect of both eye, that is left eye and the right eye. So this is the dual eye overlap. Okay, so but our central vision, this is the total result of our total vision, that is it also contains the peripheral vision, which are not so much focused. Okay, so the is what most impacts our perception. So this is the angle, that is the 40 to 60 degree is what most impacts our perception. This is the region which we really focuses in seeing the things. Fine. And rest of us comes into the periphery, that is when there is any danger or anything else which leads to the reflect action. Fine. So now we are going to discuss the wide angle view and telephoto lenses, which we are going to discuss for the cameras. In cameras we have this wide angle view. If we have lenses for wide angle views, too wide an angle of view and the relative sizes of the object are exaggerated, like in the figure you can see here. This is the wide angle view camera. Fine. You have your mobile, you can try this activity with your mobile also. You have in your mobile quad camera. Fine, there are 4 cameras in your mobile. Fine, you can see this activity when you use your wide angle view camera. You can when you shoot your photos, you don't have relative size interpretation very good by using this wide angle view. Here you can see in the image the relative size of two nearby objects is very exaggerated. Like here in the camera you will be able to see this kind of image, camera's view. Here you see this pink object very much bigger than this blue object, but in reality the two objects are of nearly equal size. So this is the limitation of wide angle view camera. Fine, you are not able to get the image distance or the image size from this wide angle view camera, while the narrow angle view camera, here you can see the image. Here you can see the image formation by the narrow angle view camera. Narrow angle view camera doesn't exaggerate the sizes of the two objects very much, but the thing is that it doesn't give you the exactly distance or exact depth of the two objects, or exactly it never tells about the distance between the two objects. Okay, it doesn't give you the perception of depthness. So in narrow angle view means that all objects are nearly the same relative size and you lose the sense of depth. So these are the two limitations of the camera. Fine, we are seeing both our eye and a camera. So but with our eyes, with the same or single lens, we are able to see the two views very quickly and without changing any lens, because we have our brain as a master processor. Fine, but in cameras we don't have these kind of smart processors. Fine, so here there is another limitation of our cameras these days. Extremely wide angles also extend to make objects near the edges of the frame appear stretched. Here you can see this portion of this image and this portion of this image. Here we have taken 155-degree view, 90-degree and 120-degree. So the nearby the objects which are near to the wide angle view of the camera, they the edges of the frame appear stretched. So by comparison, even though our eyes capture a distorted wide angle image, we reconstruct this to form a 3D mental image that is seemingly distortion free. And with the cameras we are not able to do this, and we get this kind of image only. With our eyes we get a 3D image due to the our brain, we mentally process the image after seeing it. So okay, so following are the important differences between human eye and camera. So let us discuss some of the important differences between an eye and a camera by pointing some of their characteristic property. We have already discussed the structure of an eye, we have already discussed the structure of a camera and their respective parts and their counterparts. So let's have a brief review about the differences. So these are the characteristics, that is the outer cover. In the eye we have this cornea as the outer cover, front cover of the eye, and here in camera we have this lens. Okay, and another is entry of light. In our eyes, pupil is the pinhole through which light enters the lens, while in camera has a aperture through which light enters the lens. Location of the lens is located very deep in the eye, while in camera lens is visible in front of the device. Fine, the focusing of lens, the ciliary muscles maintain the internal focusing quality of the lens. Fine, in our eyes we have this ciliary muscles. Camera lens focus has to be adjusted by the photographer. Each time you have to focus a distant object or a nearby object, we have to change the lens or refocus the lens. So now talking about the resolution is 52 megapixels. Around our eyes can resolve between the 2 points up to 52 megapixels, while in camera has 2 to 20 megapixels resolutions. Nowadays more higher power resolution cameras are coming nowadays. Image formation, the image is formed on the retina. In our eyes the image formation takes place at the retina, while for a long time this surface was the fill in case of the cameras, but now there is a image sensing chip at this fixed at this cameras. Fine. So these are some of the major important differences between an eye and a camera. How does an eye process color differently from a camera? So we through our eyes we see lots of colorful things. We don't see the black and white things, while in cameras we have option to see to take a black and white photographs or to take a color photographs. In olden days most of the people took black and white photos. Later on the color photography or color camera came into existence. Now we will discuss how an eye process color differently from a camera. We know that a camera and eye both process the color, but the mechanism behind them is different. Okay, so your retinas contain two types of photoreceptors, rods and cones. As I have discussed earlier, that is, in our eyes the image is formed at the retina. Okay, so in the retina there are two kinds of photoreceptors in the eye. One is known as rods and another one is the cones. Cones are responsible for the colored vision, or you can say cones are sensitive for the light vision. Fine. While the rods are sensitive for the dim light vision. Okay, so the rods allow you to see in low light. Fine. They aren't useful for the color vision. So and cones let you see in the color. So also there are three types of cones. Each type responds to different wavelength of lights. In cones we have three kinds of cone cells. That is, red cones responds to long wavelength light and is responsible for seeing the red or its equivalent colors. Fine. Blue cones respond to short wavelengths and green cones correspond to medium wavelengths. Fine. So these are three kinds of cones. You can say red cone cells, blue cone cells and green cone cells, so that we are able to see the color light. Fine. So here you can see the spectrum, light spectrum of white light, and here you can see that at the back of the retina we have these two kind of sensory cells which are further connected to the nerve cells, connect to the optic nerves. So these cells are connected to the nerve cells, and here you can see these are the rod shaped cells and they are known as rod shape, which are sensitive to the dim light, while here are cones. You can see green cones, blue cones and red cones. This is the pictorial representation. Fine. And it is not colored in our brain. They are of normal cell color, but here is the pictorial representation. These are the cone cells and they are responsible for blue, green and red light. You have sometimes read about the color blindness. Color blind people are not able to distinguish between the blue and green color. Okay, so they can't distinguish which is blue and which is green. So this is the phenomena and this is the importance of color vision, and this is the disease of color blindness. And you might also know about the night blindness. Night blindness, people which are unable to see in the night. Okay, so they don't have this rod cells, so they are not able to see in the night. So when your brain activates different combination of cones, you can see the world in colors. So these are the basic colors, that is blue, green and red, and through the various combination of these colors we can see many different colors through the processing with our brains. Fine. So color vision deficiency is often called the color blindness. Color blindness affects people whose retinal cones don't work properly. Okay, so cameras also have photoreceptors. We have talked about the eye, how through eyes we can see various different colorful things. So how does these things work in camera? Camera also have photoreceptors, but they only have one type of photoreceptors. Fine. So they don't can really distinguish various kinds of colors. Only they have one kind, like in our eyes we have only one lens and we focus it accordingly, but in camera we have different kind of lenses to focus accordingly. But in case of our eyes we have different kind of photoreceptors for different kind of colors. But in cameras we have only one photoreceptors, and through that photoreceptors we can see lots of various colors and many all the colors you can say. Okay, so camera correspond to red, blue and green light using filters placed on top of their photoreceptors. The photoreceptors in a camera are evenly distributed across the lens. Okay, they don't have any specific site to be present, but in case of our eyes, these photoreceptors are present in the retina. So these are the basic differences and similarity in our eyes. Apart from this, how else your eye is different from a camera? Because a camera has photoreceptors all over its lens, it's always see a full picture. Your eyes on the other hand have a blind spot. So camera have photoreceptors all over it, so it can it can capture every scene or all the scene in full potential. But in our eyes there is a spot called the blind spot, which is present at the merger of these nerve cells and the retina. Fine, so that's the point where the optic nerve connects to the retina. It has no photoreceptors at all. At the blind spot we don't have any kind of photoreceptor. That is why the image formed at this spot, that is the blind spot, we are not able to process this image. So we don't see anything which the image of which is formed at this blind spot. Okay, most of the time you don't notice your blind spot because we have two eyes. If one eye is unable to see a thing, we compensate it by seeing it through another eye. So we really don't notice if we have a blind spot. If we close our one eye and see the things with using only one eye, we can notice this blind spot. Okay, so this is because when light hits this area of one eye, your brain uses information from your other eye to fill the gap. That is why we don't notice the blind spot. But if you want to test your blind spot, you can do this with a simple experiment, and this is the experiment to check your blind spot. What you have to do, we have to take a paper and you have to mark 2 points, that is a point and a cross. Okay, and both the things about 15 to 20 centimeter apart. Now what you have to do is to close your first, suppose I have closed my right eye. Okay, and what I have to do, I have to crisscross seeing, then I have to see the dot. Okay, when I focus on the dot and move this paper in front of my eye, and then there is a certain point, there will be certain point of time when I will not be able to see the cross. Okay, so that is because of the phenomena of blind spot. So you can do this by closing your left eye and again seeing the cross one. Okay, and then start moving the paper towards your eyes, and then there will come a certain point at which you will not be able to see the dot point. Okay, so this is the phenomena of blind spot, and the images formed at the blind spot, we are not able to process it because there are no photoreceptors present in our blind spot. Okay, so now another question comes, what resolution can the human eye see? So exactly, this is 576 megapixels. This is the capacity of our eyes. This is the highest capacity of our eyes. It is not something like that we always use this kind of megapixels to visualize the things. It is the maximum capacity, or you can say the maximum potential of our eyes. Okay, so according to scientist and photographer Dr. Roger Clark, the resolution of the human eye is about 576 megapixels. That's huge when you compare it to the 12 megapixels of iPhone 7's camera. Okay, so this is a huge potential, but this is not the thing that like we always use this kind of pixels to visualize the things. Fine, so another question is, what is the shutter speed of human eye? Your eyes don't have a shutter that opens and closes to let light in, but your eyes does have a kind of shutter speed. It's the time it takes the nerve cells in your eyes to record an image before they send the image to your brain. Usually when we see the things, the image persists in our retina for some time, that is 1/16th of a second. Okay, the image persists at our retina for about 1/16th of a second. If we move a thing greater than the speed of 1/16th of a second, suppose we move 24 pictures in 1 second, then we will perceive, our brain will perceive that the picture or the character we are seeing is moving. This is the concept used in making the cartoons which we see in our television. Nowadays there are many graphics cards or graphics we visualize like moving like a movie. So in our camera video you can see in the settings that there are various kind of settings for recording the video, that is 24 fps, 30 fps, 60 fps. Okay, so these kind of things are there because our when we see a thing or visualize a thing, the image persists in our retina for 1/16th of a second. For this reason, when we see pictures at a speed of greater than 16 pictures per second, then we perceive as if the pictures are moving. This is the shutter speed of our eyes. So I hope you got the thing and you got the basic differences between a human eye and a camera. And still, if you have any doubts, then you can write in the comment section. I will surely reply. Thank you.